Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? I'm very excited for today's episode to share with you the entrepreneur expertise of Danna Olivo. Her story and journey is really incredible, and I wanted to bring her on. One, because as you know, I'm such a huge proponent of entrepreneurship, but two, because her journey from getting hit by a bus, living in Brazil, building a business, and being a person who has made their dreams come true was really beautiful and phenomenal. And I wanted to be able to share and showcase that. So before I get in that episode, of course, I just want to take a moment and say thank you to everyone who reviews the podcast, who goes on iTunes, finds the Think Unbroken podcast, hits that 5-star and leaves a review. It literally means the world to me. And as you guys know, I read every single one. And today I'm going to read one I'm going to share with you that I really loved, that hit home for me, and I think will hit home for you too. It's from Outer Space, which I love, and it's titled "A Reminder That You Aren't Alone." I'm so thankful I discovered Michael and his podcast, informative, constructive, and healing, all in one place. Most survivors of trauma tend to feel alone. Michael reminds you that not only are you not alone, but you can heal from trauma. I appreciate his vulnerability in sharing his stories. His transparency is incredibly reassuring. I highly recommend to anyone who has experienced deep trauma or or knows someone who has to listen to this show. So thank you so much for that review. It means the world to me. And thank you, of course, to everyone who does leave the reviews. A quick tangent here. If you have not, please make sure you go to coaching.thinkunbroken.com. I have a program there, 6-week in-depth trauma healing program that you can join. It's absolutely a program that I built around the structure of creating as much value and education as humanly possible in a daily 6-week coaching program. So all the details are there. Just wanted to let you know that exists. Just go over to coaching.thinkunbroken.com. As for today's episode with Danna, I love this episode. I love this conversation. As you know, I am a huge, huge proponent of entrepreneurship. I believe that honestly, it is the greatest sense of freedom that we can have. When I think about this, and people are always like, well, what's the parlay with trauma? Like, how does trauma and entrepreneurship go hand in hand? And what I think about is this. When we're growing up, when we're coming up, when we're experiencing trauma, when we're having our rights effectively taken from us, when we're in this position where we're trying to figure out who we are, navigate the world, and someone's always telling us who we can't be, entrepreneurship is the thing that we can be. And that's why it's so important to me. That's why I love it. There's freedom. There's trust in learning yourself. There's the ability to connect with other people. It's community. It's goal setting. It's entrepreneurship is literally everything that Think Unbroken is about. And I mean that in the sense of, in a very simplified way, it is stepping through trauma and coming on the other side and living life on your terms. Because if you, and look, and let's be clear, if you're like, I just want to go to a corporate job, and at the end of the day, I want to come home and watch Netflix with the family, respect, do that. That's the only thing I ever want anyone to do, is live life on their terms. But if you're like, I hate my life, it sucks, I got to go wear this suit and tie or this dress I don't want to wear, and I can't stand my job, and my boss is a dick, and every single time they take taxes out, I'm like, why do I work here? Maybe there's something about entrepreneurship for you. Maybe there's a sense of freedom in that. And so having this conversation with Danna is a beautiful reminder for me about why I started doing this. And her journey and her mission is really powerful and really potent. So without further ado, my friends, Danna Olivo. What's up, Unbroken Nation? Hello, my friends. I'm Michael Unbroken, host of the Think Unbroken podcast and founder of ThinkUnbroken.com. And I'm honored to be your trauma coach and mentor, because I believe that everyone is capable of getting unstuck, cultivating self-love, and becoming the hero of their own story. I believe that when implemented correctly, the practical tools and education you will receive from this show will help you lead an unbroken and extraordinary life. I believe that no matter what we come from, that we all have the ability to choose ourselves first, to create and manifest a powerful and grace-filled future, and love the reflection in the mirror. I believe that every day is a day to grow, learn, heal, and change. That's why I started my company, ThinkUnbroken.com, which is an online training and healing and personal growth platform where you get everything that I know about how to get motivated, be accountable, get out of the vortex, and become the hero of your own story through community, connection, and commitment. For more information, visit ThinkUnbroken.com. Please listen closely, as you may learn just one thing that will help you be unbroken. And please share this episode with at least 3 of your friends, because we all need community and connection in our healing journey. And be sure to DM me and tag me on Instagram at Michael Unbroken so that I can say hi. I just want to thank you again for being a part of this, for listening, and being a member of the Unbroken Nation. Now, let's get into today's show and make the world unbroken. Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Hope that you're doing well wherever you are in the world today. I'm super excited to be joined by my guest today, Danna Olivo, who is not only a professional business growth strategist, but a public speaker and best-selling author. She has published 5 books, and the latest is The Social or Sociopathic, which came out earlier this year. Danna, I am super excited to have you on the show today. How are you, my friend? What is going on in your world?
Oh, I am doing great. My world is extremely busy right now, but that's good. That's good that I'm busy. We're just plugging along here. It's a time of transformation. It's a time of transformation, and we're working through our strategy for 2022, and that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, I love it. And I agree with you. It is definitely a time for transformation in our lives and our businesses and everything. And I I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I think it kind of always is. And so with that said, I'd love before we kind of dive in today, if you can kind of tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Sure, sure. Well, first of all, I am the oldest of seven. I have six sisters and one brother. The brother is the last one. Let's see, I grew up in a environment of construction. My father was a block contractor, so I like to say that I have cement in my blood. I've been married 37 years to the same man. I have two kids and four grandkids. That's me on a personal basis. I love what you said as far as we're always in transformation. I agree with that. If we aren't, then we're stagnant. We have nothing going on. Um, let's see where I'm at right now. I spent a good 35 years within the architectural engineering construction market doing marketing and business development. What happened in 2009 was I was laid off from one of the largest construction management firms in the world. And with that layoff, everybody else was going through the same thing. The entire world was going through an economic recession. And I decided, okay, it's time for me to take a step back and think about, where am I going to go next? And that happened to be Brazil. I ended up going into Brazil to help create inroads for companies here that were having to shut their door within the architectural engineering and marketing, engineering and construction business, to partner with companies in Brazil in preparation for the upcoming FIFA games and the Summer Olympic Games. So that was my career until 2012. And what happened there was the transformation, the latest transformation for me personally and for my business when I got hit by a bus crossing the street in Brazil to my apartment going 45 miles an hour. And that started the transformation into Market Atomy.
That's pretty insane, right? So you get hit by this bus, and I think what's really interesting that comes to mind is there's a space in that where you could just be like, woe is me. I guess my life is done, so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that perhaps you didn't have some of that experience, but that also became a huge pivot in your life. What happened in that space?
Well, in all honesty, when the accident happened, I don't remember anything about the accident. What happened was my brain just shut down. So I didn't actually start coming to realization until they were wheeling me into the trauma unit there in Brazil. So when you talk about woe is me, yes, I was thrown. I was thrown. I was down there on business. I had several projects going on, and I immediately started thinking, okay, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got all this work going on down here. I'm not going to be able, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. And they would come visit me in my apartment down there while I was recuperating. I couldn't leave Brazil for almost 2 months because I had a collapsed lung. I ended up with 7 broken ribs, collapsed lung, lacerated liver. My right arm was completely crushed by the bus. I had 2 blown eye sockets and a hematoma. So I was pretty much non functional. What I didn't realize until I got back from Brazil into the United States that I also had PTSD. So when you start talking about, woe is me, yes, the physical side, I always felt like, okay, I've been able to manage getting through physical, issues, no problem. But the mental is much harder, especially for somebody like me who, as a strategist, I relied on my ability to be able to see the big picture and to be able to, but I was blocking myself off. I wasn't leaving the house. I wasn't Danna anymore. And it wasn't until my sister told me, says, Danna, you need to go see somebody. There's something wrong, and that's when we found out that I had PTSD. So that took quite a while among the different surgeries and everything to, get through that. Now, on the positive side of that, market-atomy happened. And what I mean by that is while I was laid up, going through my surgeries and everything, I had a lot of colleagues, people who I interacted with while I was working within the AEC industry for so many years. They had been laid off at the same time I was, and they had started their own companies because they couldn't find work. Kind of what's going on right now with COVID, when you think about it, all right? And knowing me, they came to me and they said, Danna, what's going on? I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. I've started this business. I've been operating it for 3 years. I'm not getting ahead. I'm bleeding money, etc. Well, in the process of trying to figure out what was going on, I realized that the bulk of these individuals had no idea how to build a successful infrastructure around their product or service offer. They had the best product or service, but they didn't know how to bring those customers through the door. And in an effort to teach them, I came up with what we call the market-atomy concept, which is I compare their business to the human body. Now, in the human body, you have the heart, which is your why of your business. Now, the heart in the body is controlled by the brain, which sends the signals to the heart to keep it pumping, pumping, right? Well, it's the same thing in business. The heart of the business is your why. Why do you do what you do for your customers? The brain of your business is your playbook. That's where your systems, your methodologies, your vision, your mission, everything is stored. It's the how of your business. Now, in the human body, can the heart operate without the brain? No. They need to work in tandem. Same thing in business. They need to work in tandem to push your marketing message out through the veins of your company, which are the marketing channels, to the body, which is your market. Now let's take it a step further. You, as the business owner, you are the culture of the business. You are the passion behind the business. It's your morals that run that business. But in honesty, you have to have all of this in place in order to attract those customers and bring them through the door. So that's how I explained to these new business owners what they needed to have in place in order to attract those customers.
And what's so interesting about that to me is here you are in this position and you're faced with a choice, right? You're faced with a decision to make, because I think in that moment, and I don't think anyone would blame you for being like, I'm just going to like lay in this bed. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to I don't think anyone would blame you for that. I certainly wouldn't. And in that moment, however, you decided to be of service.
Right.
What was it about that called you to that? Even though you're in this place, because this is what I want people to touch into here. Because even though you're in this place of pain and suffering and recovery and healing, you're still being of service. Why was that important to you?
Because that's where my heart is. Even though I'm doing that, okay, what brings me joy, okay, is being able to help people. It's being able, and I've failed at business twice before. All right. So I learned the hard way by going back to college, you know, what I didn't know about running a successful business. And so out of that was born my heart, whereas I don't want to see these micro business owners, these small business owners suffering the same fate that I did twice before. They need their help. We as a nation make it so easy to start a business, but very difficult to survive in business because of the fact that um they the programs that they have in place are meant for what we call second stage businesses. You have to be making at least $500,000 or more. Well, what about these first stage businesses? They're the ones who are failing. We've got over an 82% failure rate within a 2 to 3 year period of them opening their doors. This is hurting our psyche, the psyche of the business owner. Me having gone through it twice before, I know what it does. It's depression. It's feeling like you're a failure when you fail. And that actually reflects on the family as well. So me starting my business, Market-atomy, which is committed to the micro business owner and helping them through education, through accountability, through resource management, by doing this, what I'm doing, I feel as though by reducing the number of failed businesses in the US, that it's only going to positively impact our GDP as more money is put into the economy. It's only going to positively impact our labor force as we're able to hire more people. And finally, that psyche of the business owner is only going to be boosted, and that's going to be reflected in their children, in their families, to where we can raise up more entrepreneurs.
That's beautiful. I love that. And as someone who's been an entrepreneur really since I was like 8 years old, I'll tell you this. I mean, and we talk about this on the show constantly. Like I fail all the time.
Yeah.
Everyone who I know has ever been successful fails more than they are successful.
Right.
And I think that so much of failure is looking at that and extrapolating data and just simply saying, yeah, I understand what to do differently. And for full transparency, I've also failed 2 businesses, but I've had multiple successful businesses from taking that understanding and
Right.
going, okay, cool, I know what not to do now. But I think that there's a really interesting conversation to be had here about this idea that there is an entrepreneur inside of every one of us. To be frank, and I've said this before, I think entrepreneurship is the greatest sense of freedom that you can have as a human being, because we operate in that. So, as someone who's listening and, maybe they have their side hustle and they dream of building this big thing one day, but, they're worried about 10 years from now, but instead of tomorrow, right? How do you, if you do have this entrepreneur inside of you, like, how do you find that out? Like, how do you know that?
Well, I have a book that the very first book that I ever wrote is called Market-atomy: What to Expect When Expecting a Business. And because I do believe that there is an entrepreneur in every single one of us. The problem is we don't know where that entrepreneur lies. And so this book is more of a motivational introductory book that kind of gets you to thinking about what is it that you specialize in, whether you're a housewife, whether you are, a receptionist or whatever. There's something that you do well that possibly somebody else may want to know about. I mean, me personally, one of the stories that I tell in the book is the fact that I grew up in the architectural engineering and construction market for many years, and I worked myself through every logistical cycle, from product development through spec development into design, construction, and aftermarket. Well, one of the stories I talk about is the fact that when I went from the design industry, with an architectural firm into this construction management firm that I was laid off of. Okay. This construction management firm was a huge company.
Hey, Unbroken Nation, a quick pause in today's episode to tell you about the brand new Think Unbroken app. That's right, I just released a brand new app in the App Store that you can take the first course in the Think Unbroken curriculum, The 5 Keys to Healing Trauma. It's a 7-day course for free. All you have to do is go into your App Store right now. You can pause this video and search Think Unbroken. That's on both Apple and Android. And you can take the Think Unbroken 5 Keys to Healing Trauma 7-day course for free. This is daily coaching from me. It's daily activities, daily check-ins. I built this course in this app specifically to bring huge value to you in your life, where you're at and what you're trying to do and going next and becoming the hero of your own story. So check out the App Store, again, Apple and Android. Just simply search Think Unbroken and you will see the Think Unbroken app. And until next time, my friend, be unbroken.
But what I didn't realize when I accepted the position and went over there is they had no systems in place. And so what I realized is, in order for me to be able to effectively do my job in this construction management company, I had to implement systems that were going to make it easy for me to streamline my production process. Luckily, the design company I was with taught me how to do that. So I was able to bring this to the construction management company. This is where I'm going. I've learned systems, you've learned systems that you can bring to benefit other companies. Yeah. Now, there are hurdles you're going to have to go through. Yes, entrepreneurship is definitely the most freeing feeling in the world, but that quickly disappears when you keep your eye on the long-term goal, because it becomes overwhelming. What happens is you become so overwhelmed that you tend to get paralyzed, to become paralyzed, and then avoid the situation thinking, okay, it's going to resolve itself, or I'll worry about it later. It's what I like to call you're suffering from OPA. The key is being able to focus on these shorter goals. Break up that long, big vision into shorter goals. And by focusing on those shorter goals, you can work through the hurdles that are going to make it difficult to continue growing your business.
And I think that also applies to life, right?
Yes.
You think about your day to day and what it is that you want to accomplish. You really do have to. I think about it like this: I make a North Star, I put this big giant thing out there in the world, and for me, it's in generational trauma in my lifetime. Empower people with the tools and understandings and knowledge to create massive transformation in their life. Great. Do you think I can do that if I tried to do it all today? That's
No,
not gonna work, right?
no.
But one of the things, and I want to dive into this because I know it's something that's near and dear for you, that I think that happens is people do have these goals. They do have these North Stars, but they have this lack of belief. And you talk about this idea of believing and receiving.
Right.
How do you stop sabotaging your goals?
Oh, I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm still figuring it out. Um, that's been one of my biggest hurdles that I struggle with on a daily basis. I've always had the belief that I could do anything. I've always had this belief. What I run into an issue, and it didn't come to me until I started going through my counseling after my accident. Okay. What I realized was the fact that as I got closer and closer to my goal, I would start sabotaging myself. One reason or another, I would make up excuses why things didn't work or why I couldn't continue. And it wasn't until, sitting down in my counseling sessions that I realized that the reason I was not receiving the rewards for what I believed in and what I had done was because I would have to perform. Okay. by receiving it, it meant, okay, now you have to work at it. You've been saying you can do this all the way, and then all of a sudden you're going to have to perform. And what if I do it wrong? Or what if I'm, a fake? Or what if, I think what really did start opening my eyes to this was I was on a shared panel with other strategists, and we had a 1 hour panel, in front of a group of people and answering questions and everything. And after the panel, one of these strategists that I was really very, as a mentor to me, looked at me and said, Danna, we need to have coffee. We need to go sit down. I need to talk to you. And I thought, oh, crap. What did I do wrong? There comes that, that self-doubt. Okay. We went and we had coffee, and he looked at me and he says, you know your poop. And I said, huh? And he says, you know what you're talking about. And I looked at him and I said, Harry, that means a lot coming from you. I says, I really looked up to you as a strategist. And he says, no. He says, you know as much as me or any of those other strategists up there. You just deliver it in a different way. And that kind of opened my eyes and set the trajectory for how I manage and the messaging that I put out in Marketatomy is the fact that, yeah, my audience is micro business owners. They are not geared, they're not prepared for these big time strategists that are using these huge words and terminologies and things like that to guide these small micro businesses. I bring them down to bring the strategic process down to a level that they can understand.
So when you're in this place now, and you're starting to transition, and you're helping people understand, right? Which I do think is incredibly important. Like, I remember the first time I heard the word P&L, I was like, what are you talking about? Right. And look, and I recognize not everybody listening to this is a business owner or entrepreneur, nor do they want to be, but we all have dreams. We all have goals. And like, this still applies. Like I think about this a lot in my life. The parallel between life and entrepreneurship is so in sync. Right. You look at it and you go, man, there's something about this that if you dissect it, the dichotomy is right there. It's unexplainable.
Yep.
What is it that you think, like, what do you think it is that stops people from really tapping into this though? Right. Because I do think that there's a level of, you do have to believe it. You do have to receive it, but then you're kind of like on the precipice of it. You're looking at it, it's for lack of a better analogy, you're at the edge of the diving board, and right below you are all of your dreams, but you're not jumping.
Right.
How do you get people to jump?
Well, first you have to figure out, okay, where is that fear coming from? Is it fear that you've got a family and you're not going to be able to support them? Okay. Is it a fear that someone's going, you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to be considered a fraud? Is that your fear? Is the fear that you're just not going to be able to succeed? The way I see it is there's so many different reasons that we don't take that jump. Unfortunately, unfortunately or fortunately, you could look at it both ways. Okay. I've never been afraid to take the jump per se. All right. As I tell my clients, okay, first of all, when you're first starting out, okay, don't quit your job unless you have someone there to support you, because it's going to take a good 18 to 24 months before you even break even with your company. And the expenses are going to add up. There are expenses that you don't realize are coming. I also tell them that the thing that's going to drag you down faster than anything else, even the money issue, is the many hats you wear. If you try and do everything yourself, you're going to find that you are going to be so overwhelmed that you're just going to shut down. It's just going to be too hard. It takes a special individual to be an entrepreneur. It takes somebody who believes in themselves, who has a strong, nurturing personality. And I say nurturing because of the fact that when you're talking to your customers, when you're integrating with your customers, you need to have empathy. You need to be able to read their reactions and be able to understand what it is that they're suffering from and whether you're going to be able to provide a solution for them. When I am with my customers, I don't jump right into the selling process. I am what you call a relationship seller. Okay. I build that relationship. I make them feel comfortable before anything, because through that comfort is where I start identifying where their real problems are without them even realizing they're letting me know about them. And eventually what happens is you can connect and you can empathize with what they're going through. And then you can start building that relationship in order to work with them. So in answer to your question, that is how I convince my clients, that not convince, but talk to my clients about the work they're going to have to put in, but I'm right there with them. I am there to guide you along the way. Market Academy has been designed around the micro business owner. Even though it's a do-it-yourself, e-learning environment, it's designed to guide you through the process of growing your business.
Yeah, I love that. And I will say this, I look at the same thing in my side where I'm coaching or I'm mentoring or I'm writing a program. I tell people all the time, like, I'm here to be a guide. Like, you have to have help in this. You have to have help in anything that you create in life. And I don't know anyone who's ever done anything great on their own. Like, they just don't exist because it's almost impossible. Right.
Yeah.
And you said some really important things. And I'll share a quick excerpt story here of my own journey. My first business that I created, I had left a corporate job where I was making six figures, and I started this business. I was like, oh, I think I know how to do this. I'm successful in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you talk about just having this moment of like, okay, I was wrong. That was one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me 3 years to build that business into anything, and the whole time I was bleeding money in a way that I effectively lost my entire life savings.
Yeah.
And so the thing that you have to think about when you're in this building mode, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to assess risk. And I
Yeah.
think people often lack that understanding. And that applies to our dreams and our goals too. Anything that you want to accomplish in your life, there's a trade-off. You're going
Yeah.
to have to give something up. You're going to have to recognize that in the process of building what it is that you want, that you're going to take some L's. You're going to have some losses. There's going to be failures. There's going to be hard days and sleepless nights, but that applies to everything. It's not
Everything.
just business.
And you're going to buy a house. If you're planning on buying a house, there are things that you're going to have to cut out to save up that down payment, things like that. There is sacrifices for everything you want in life. Okay. You just need to identify which sacrifices are you willing to do. Is it family, or is it, the nails? Is it the hair? Is it, what are you willing to sacrifice? Okay. What's not as important to you? My husband's always telling me it's a trade-off, when I say, okay, we need to put this kind of money into this, and he'll tell me, he says, okay, so what are we willing to give up here? And that's what it is. It's the trade-off. We have to go in and, with the understanding that if you really believe in what you're doing, you're going to have to sacrifice something,
Yeah,
and it
you
may
absolutely
hurt.
are.
I highly recommend don't sacrifice your family. You can set up a contract with your family, and help them understand, okay, we are starting our own business now. And it's a we situation. It's not just I. It's a we situation. And if you agree that, I'm going to be able to spend this time in my office, whether it's at home or whatever, I promise I'm going to spend this time with you.
If you need help with pain or anxiety, let me tell you about one of my favorite tools. It's NW Recovery CBD oil. You may know that, and I've mentioned this before, I have chronic pain and massive anxiety, and CBD oil has been such a profound tool in my journey. Recently, NW Recovery came out with their key lime flavored CBD oil that is non-psychotropic. It is non-psychoactive. And for a person like me who has a panic attack, if I touch THC, this is the perfect combination of delicious key lime and CBD, something I literally do not leave home without. For more information, you can go to nw-recovery.com and use the keyword unbroken to save 20% on your first order. Again, go to nw-recovery.com, keyword unbroken, and have CBD change your life.
There are contractual relationships that you can put, within the family so they don't feel as though you're just neglecting them. And as you said, you can't operate in a vacuum. You cannot operate in a vacuum, and COVID has really tested that thought process. Okay. Because with us being remanded to our homes, or, staying inside and outside of the office environment and everything, and going virtually, that has really tested our resolve with being able to work alone. And some of us can't do that. Some of us are not made to work by ourselves. And so we need that group environment. We need that feedback. But every entrepreneur should have a individual that they can vent with. Even if it's just a coach that you can just vent your frustrations with. There doesn't have to be a solution. You just talk. You get it off your chest. And I can guarantee you do that, and you're going to come back with a fresh perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a great parallel again with life. Like I'll harp on this till the day I die. Like I really believe that the parallels are just there. One of the things though that I think that happens, and I'd love to know your insight on, is this idea that people are so afraid. They have this fear of dreaming big because they let other people dictate the size of their dreams. Like I see it all the time, and that's not even just entrepreneurship. That's everything in life.
There are different types of people, okay? And there are those that we call ideologists, okay? The ideologists are those that they see a big picture. They see a big problem. I'm one of those, all right? What I see out there as far as the small business environment and what's happening within our economic system right now, I see that 3-4 years down the road, we're going to be in a tough spot because there is going to be so many entrepreneurs out there that are just struggling and losing money because of the fact that they were forced into an environment or a situation, starting their own businesses and not having the resources that they need to really build a successful business. That's why I'm hoping that Market Academy will be able to help in that situation. Okay. But I've always been a big dreamer. And I'm telling you, the naysayers out there, when I went into Brazil, all I heard from everybody before I even made my first trip down there is, oh, you don't want to do that. They don't respect women down there, and especially women entrepreneurs and things like that. Well, I went with the U.S. Commercial Services, and I'm telling you, it was the complete opposite of what I was hearing here in the U.S. Okay. The other thing is the news. All we heard on the news as far as Brazil and the favelas and the crime and all of this other stuff, and being down there. And I told them, I said, look, It's no different than in the United States. It's just a matter of where you hang out. Yeah, there are bad spots in the United States. There's bad spots in Brazil. You just learn to avoid those areas. So to take exactly what we're going through with COVID, to just take everything at its word rather than going in and inspecting it yourself and doing your own research. Yes, that is a fear. You're going to take and you're going to let these naysayers hold you back. Okay. Like I said, I've always been a big dreamer. My big vision right now with Market Atomy is I want to get in front of Congress and ultimately get a bill passed so that first stage micro entrepreneurs that can show that they have gone through the education process and been certified in entrepreneurship, when they go and get their business licenses, that they can qualify for incentives, tax incentives, financial help with labor, things like that, that they can qualify for incentives that will help them grow their business. Now that's a big dream.
This is a big dream. It's a beautiful dream too. And hearing you say that, I just think to myself, oh my gosh, where was this 15 years ago?
Right.
And I think that until that moment, like you have to be willing to persevere, right? You have to be willing to face the difficulties and the tasks that lie ahead of you, because as you know, it's the same as like recovering from PTSD to whatever extent that means to you, to healing your body, to grow, like everything requires a tremendous amount of resiliency. What is, if I ask you that, like, what does resiliency mean to you? Can you talk about that?
Resiliency. I've got a tattoo on my on my left shoulder here of a phoenix. Okay, because there's been so many times that I have been knocked down to the ground and risen up. Okay, and started over. I'm now 65 years old. My times between starting over and everything are pretty much limited now. But I'm having so much fun with what I'm doing right now, and the payoff is so good. But resiliency to me means that I don't care if I have naysayers. I don't care if somebody says I can't do something. I'm going to find out for myself. And that's, and there's another part to that, okay? Not taking someone's word for it is just one aspect, but being able to do your own research and make your own mind up as to whether or not this is a bad idea, a bad business idea or not. In Market Atomy Academy, what we do is we carry our entrepreneurs, our business owners through a 5-phased approach to business. And the first phase is the see it phase. That's where you have your idea for business, okay? Then you move on to the prove it phase. This is where you go out to the market, you talk to people, you ask people, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Is this something you would be interested in buying if it was on the market? Would you be willing to pay this kind of price? Is the market big enough for me to survive in business? Do I need to expand my market? Do I need to increase my price? What's my profit margin? All of that, you need to get that research. Who's my competition out there? Do all of that before you move into the build it phase. The build it phase is where your business model comes to life. After you've proven product or service viability, you want to move into a phase where you start building that business, that infrastructure around what your offering is. And this is where you put in your systems, your processes, your customer journey, your marketing. Everything is done here. You get to a point where it's, okay, I'm ready to take this business to the next level. By that time, you've proven the business model and everything. You move into the 4th phase, which is the funding phase. Now, the funding phase is where you're going to be looking at, okay, what's it going to cost me to take my business to the next level? And how am I going to get that money? Is it going to be through angel investing, venture capital? Is it going to be bank financing? How am I going to get the money to take my business to the next level? Which the next level, the 5th phase, is the growth phase. And this is where you 10x your company. This is where you actually have the money, you have the proven business model. Now you can turn around and start growing that company. This is where you start putting in your succession plans and everything else so that you can create that legacy that you want to carry on.
It's really beautiful. And I think that so much of life's journey is looking at practical things and looking at what people in front of you have done and taking that information, actually using it, applying it to your life, and then seeing what happens. And, you know, one of my mentors, Tom Bilyeu, says something I think about every single day. He says, the success is not guaranteed, but the struggle certainly is. And I think that's such a part of life, but you're not going to find out what you're capable of if you're not willing to step into the arena.
Yeah, my husband told me when we went into Brazil, you know, he says, even if we don't make a penny in Brazil, the experience alone was worth. Yeah.
I love that. And I think about this too on my deathbed. I just don't want to wonder what if, even if I fell again, which I will, I don't want to wonder what would happen if I didn't try. Danna, before I ask you my last question, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Well, everybody can find me on LinkedIn. Okay. All of my information is on LinkedIn. It's Danna, Danna Olivo. You can also reach out to me at danna.olivo@marketatomy.com. Also go into the academy, marketatomy.academy. Go ahead and register and take a look at the courses that are offered, you know, and things like that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. My last question for you is, what does it mean to you to be unbroken?
Oh, gosh. What it means is to be free. It means to be free, happy, able to love my grandkids, love my husband, you know, be able to, you know, being able to travel, do my art again. That's all of it, you know.
Brilliant. Love it. And I'm so glad that you get to have that experience. Unbroken Nation, thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to check out all of Danna's work. We'll put all of the links in the show notes. Please review, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see ya.
Thank you.
Unbroken Nation, hope that you just got a tremendous amount of value from today's episode. I want to know what you think. Please do me a favor and review, rate, and share the episode with 3 friends on social media today. It would mean the world if you did, because ultimately at the end of the day, creating community and connection is how we heal generational trauma in the world. And I need your help to do that, Unbroken Nation. So if you're on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you are, please like, comment, share, review. I want to know not only what you like about the show, but how I can make the show better, how I can make this further about helping you on your healing journey. So do me a favor, and when you do, shoot me a screenshot of you making the review to my DM at Michael Unbroken on Instagram so that I can have a conversation with you, say hi, and more importantly, so I can share it with the Unbroken Nation. Thank you so much, my friend. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show, but I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.